Hey guys, it's Stephen here. I'm the first ever Esteemed Kompany podcast. I guess actually I can say that with actual sincerity now. I'm actually in good company. It's happened. I'm with Sam Lee of Goal.com. Everyone knows him via Twitter, bringing us loads of fun transfer rumours and gossip throughout the year. Sam, how you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Thanks very much for having me on, the first one.
I'm honoured, genuinely. It's
So am
nice. It's weird having someone in my flat to do this kind of stuff, but it's actually quite nice. And honestly, I had to get changed because we were dressed exactly the same as well. Two dark bearded guys on a show looking exactly the same, but it's gone. Anyway, thank you for coming on. I digress. If you want to see more of these kind of podcasts, guys, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget as well to check out Sam's channel. There'll be a link in the description. You've done some pretty good tactical analysis in there as well, haven't you? Stuff?
Yeah, when it was kind of moving it around and new things at the start of the season with Mendy and all that, but since he's gone back to 4-3-3, it's just there's less to talk about. But whenever there's interesting stuff going on, and Sane situation and stuff, something like that.
So there'll be a link now on the card above my head or in the description below. So basically, subscribe to his channel. It'll be at the end of the video as well. But we're going to talk today a little bit about a few things like the transfers from City's perspective, the transfer window. I put a tweet out and saying, what do you want to see us talk about today? And loads of the transfer stuff came up in terms of about, will we sign someone in midfield? What about Sterling's contract? Sancho's name obviously came up because it comes up everywhere at the moment. And then Mendy a little bit, and then Brahim, and a few stuff like that. And also just about how Sam as well kind of gets his stories from. So we're going to talk about the industry as a whole as well. So we'll start, I guess, with the winter transfer window because that's the first question that everyone asks. Where do we go with the mess size of the winter transfer window here, City? Do you think we'll bring anyone in at all? Or is it going to be...
Well, in terms of the precedent, if you look at last season, going into last season, obviously they missed out on Alexis Sanchez, and then they kind of carried that on in January, thinking, well, we've still got that money, we can still go after that player because they had a hole in the squad that they wanted to fill, and also they were going so well in the league, they thought, well, let's kind of bolster this and go for a centre back as well. With with obviously the thinking that they would get one in, either Van Dijk or Laporte,
and
they would settle in, exactly.
And it's worked. If you're looking at the season
so there's a precedent for City going for it. Obviously, City can't get Jorginho, but they feel like they missed out on a target. And obviously, last year the summer just gone, they only wanted two, not like 5 or 6 or 9. So they know there's a very specific hole in the squad that they could fill. They've still got the money to do it. Like the Mahrez money they were willing to spend last January, so they've still got plenty in the pot to go and do it. And obviously, if they feel like they're top, or even if they're in a battle for the title, if they're a bit behind, they're going to think,
and given his age as well,
put the hammer down.
Fernandinho at the moment,
obviously Fernandinho played really well at Anfield. He's kind of had ups and downs, but it's just it's the rotation option. You've seen how the centre backs are rotating, and I'm sure Aguero's number one again now in terms of the forwards. But Jesus is still going to come in and play plenty of games. Obviously, you can't do that with Fernandinho. I've got an article coming out tonight. If people watch this tonight or tomorrow, they'll probably see it.
Be tomorrow morning.
Well, there we go.
If you haven't already.
Hopefully you've seen it now.
Yeah, it'll be in. What's it'll be?
Either way, I know I can talk about it. But the weird thing is, it regards Frenkie De Jong. And
what a player.
Yeah, well, a couple of months ago,
it's good.
Even that, I'd heard from the City end that City people thought the Barca had got it done. But then somebody messaged me last week saying from the Barca end, and I spoke to our Barca correspondent who works for Goal, and they think that City are making a big push now. So Cheeky's been really going for it to try and sign De Jong. So Barca now think we've got no chance because City have got more money. They've further down the line, and Barca spent all summer trying to get him, but not paying much.
He fits the bill, doesn't he? He's very Guardiola kind of player in terms of the versatility as well. How he can play in defence and he can just glide through midfield very elegantly. But there was loads of rumours that he had his heart set on just because of the whole Cruyff and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
and I think he said
that as well.
He said in the past. Yeah. Well, in fact, he said today, Thursday, that he's a bit bored of it, which is fine. But he also says he plans to stay at Ajax for one or 2 years. So fine. I mean, you can take that as whatever.
I mean, that could just be the end of the season.
Yeah, exactly. But he has said in the past that he wants to play with Messi and that. But like I say, even Barca now, even with that kicker of we've got Messi, I've heard from a couple of sources, including our Barca correspondent, who's very good, that Barca now think that City have got the upper hand. And there's also Matthias de Ligt as well, and that's been reported in Barcelona in the last few days that Barca are going to look at him instead. But City want him as well. Obviously, back in April,
that's
there
a
was
hell of a wad of money to get those two ways, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing is when you want two players from the one club. I mean, personally, it feels like surely you can't get both. If you know what I mean, it's almost like I don't even know why. It's like I presume it's a pride thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like when one team tries to gut another team, it's a little bit like no, we'll sell you one of them, but then. I mean, is that a thing? But clubs are quite proud, aren't they, in general?
Yeah, but the thing is, Ajax want a bit of a bidding war
I can imagine,
for De Jong in particular. But if they're kind of resigned to losing him in that sense, De Ligt is a couple of years younger. But I don't know if the other thing is, no club wants to be like have their two best players taken.
Yeah.
But if they do sell to City, they can be like, this is the richest club in the world. They've offered us 100 million, 120 million for both, 150 million for both. Yeah. We couldn't say no. And, Ajax, that'll sustain the club forever, basically.
Yeah.
And they can, reinvest that in the academy, etc., etc.
And then
so, I mean, there are ways of doing it. It's a bit like the Wolves thing in Neves. They don't want to be seen to sell one of their best players. But if it comes to it and City offer loads of money, they can say, well, we got a great deal. And that's how football works, really, isn't it?
Everyone's selling Kompany with the right price.
And the other thing that Barca believe, and this is all coming from the Barca end, really, but the other thing that Barca believe is City could even sign him or try to sign De Jong in January, but loan him back to Ajax until the end of the season, because obviously they don't want to let him go easily, let alone midway through the season.
Halfway house kind of situation where it's appeasing the fans a little bit, appeasing De Jong as well a little bit, because I think he'd probably want to have a proper goodbye, try and...
Well, I think that's what Barca were going to do in the summer when they tried to sign him. They said, we'll give you 30 million euros, but you can have him for a season. But Ajax were like, 30 million? You're joking.
Which is nothing.
It's not going to happen. But
that's like pocket money for Wolves.
But going back to the original question, that doesn't. If that were to be the case, and there's a lot to be resolved, it doesn't really help City because they would have a great player, but with their penchant for getting players in January and helping the push, it doesn't really do them a lot of favours. So I mean, maybe they have to get to the time and see how it works. And even
it could be
there's no point in buying De Ligt in January because he's 19 years old. You don't need that new centre back yet. It's when Kompany's contract expires, or we see how Mendy gets on kind of thing.
Of course.
You can see it next summer. So for January, I always like to in the summer not just be able to say the players they want or one player the City want, but the positions they want as well. Because at the end of last season, everyone was saying, they're going to get De Ligt and they want to get a left back. But I was only comfortable writing something when I was told it'll be a forward and a midfielder.
Yeah.
Because now I know they're looking at Neves, they're looking at De Jong, but I don't know yet. Do they want both? Do they want one and they're working on two, but they'll only get one? Obviously, there's Ndombele as well, who I don't know if they've made a bid, but I know they've been looking at him
as well, isn't it? Like everyone in the world's looking at Ndombele.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it wouldn't surprise me because City wanted a midfielder last summer, so they're going to get one.
Yeah.
But would they want another midfielder next summer? So that's when you can start looking at the fact that it might be two, and it might be,
it could be
Neves and De Jong.
Fernandinho is getting old.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the same age as me, so I feel bad saying that. But in general, he's getting, as a footballer, like 33 is not a good age for an energetic midfielder, is it? So that's his main game. So it would make sense that even if we brought in one now, say now as in the January with the transfer window, and then maybe look for one this summer. I can see that potentially happen because there's no point just waiting for a few years for another, is there potentially? But then again, I can see.
Well, to be fair, that goes back to the Neves thing as well, and maybe. I mean, they're going to have to push for Neves because Wolves won't want to let him go. And especially Wolves are having a really good season. They're winning games that the promoted teams don't necessarily win. They're doing really well. And they won't want to let him go halfway through the season. But I think the intention is there for City to sign someone in January. It just depends. Are they going to get Ajax to sell De Jong and let them keep him? Are they going to get Wolves to sell Neves? This is why I don't really like doing transfer stories at this time of the year because there's so much to sort out. And normally, once it comes to the April, May, they're set. Yeah. At this time, there's more in the air. So we'll have to see how it pans out, basically. But I wouldn't be surprised.
I've been meaning to ask you about that, basically, in general. The whole transfer thing, because you see so much cynicism on Twitter, of all places, about, it didn't happen, therefore you were wrong and you were fraud and other such expletives or whatever. Which is obviously, it's nonsense. I'm aware, even I know.
Well, it can be true.
I mean, sometimes it can be true. Yeah, nothing's happened. No, but sometimes things just don't happen, don't they? I think that's what a lot of fans don't tend to understand. That things can be close and then just cannot happen, kind of last minute. Yeah, look at the Delph thing.
And the good thing from my point of view, and the selfish point of view, is not being good for City, but the amount of near misses that City have had.
Yeah,
it goes to show that there's nothing we can do as journalists. And this sounds like I'm defending myself. But before the Alexis Sanchez thing, at no point did I ever say this is definitely going to happen. It was this is what they want to happen. They're confident of it happening, etc., etc. But it got to the stage where it was so close. The whole world know the City wanted to buy Alexis Sanchez that summer. Laporte the summer before, I don't even report on that much, but that was that close. And then, it was the Friday night, we'll leave it with you. And then he rang him on the Sunday and said, actually, I'm staying here. Obviously, Laporte the first time around. Alexis the second time. Jorginho as well, where that was really close.
That was very
Fortunately, like I say, it's not been good for City, but from my point of view, it's like, well, you can, like, all the world knows.
You can see it, can't you?
That it's happening. But I mean, but at the same time, don't get me wrong, it is easy for journalists to hide behind that.
Yeah.
And if I had bad intentions, I could easily come on here and say exactly the same thing. But I'd like to think people judge me for the track record. And like I say, it's not just the players. I generally like to have an idea of the plans as well, because I could say all summer they want to sign a left back, and there's no intention of signing a left back at all. But yeah, some journalists could hide behind that fact of, oh well, they were talking, etc. But I mean, that's just how it has to go.
Do you ever feel
people
like,
have to kind of build up the trust?
Do you ever feel like sometimes, and it must happen to anyone in life, in any form of industry really, that sometimes people are slipping you stuff just to kind of gain your trust that may necessarily not be true? Like, do you ever feel like you've been played a little bit from, like, certain agents or, I don't know, someone at the club or whatever?
Well, this is it. Like, the funny thing is, I don't know, I've heard at times that within City they've said, oh, well, the thing with Sam is he gets all the stuff from agents, which is absolutely not true.
Is that the rumours?
I don't really speak to agents because I
think I've been played by agents.
And the thing
personally,
but the thing is, it's impossible. It's impossible to do it with agents because very few. Well, the thing is, they've got to build up trust with a club, and obviously their clients. So they're not going to be telling people whatever happens. There was last summer, I was speaking to an agent because I'd had a tip off the City were buying someone from Madrid, but I couldn't work out exactly who it was. And then I thought, I can't remember how Danilo came to be mentioned or whatever, but I somehow got the agent's number. I sent him a message. And sometimes, most of the time, they don't even reply, especially if you work for Goal. They can be like, what's that? It's not like The Guardian all the time.
Yeah, of course.
But the guy replied, he sent me a couple of voice messages, and they were really good in that. And I think I went back to him a bit later, and he was like, and he sent me another voice message, really warm and friendly. He was like, look, there've been offers, I'm not necessarily from City, but there've been offers for Danilo, but he's happy here, he's not going to go anywhere. And I wasn't going to do anything with that, but I told like our Madrid correspondent, the Spanish desk, and they were like, oh, that would be a good story if you did it. And I was like, all right, fine. So I did. I was like, Danilo's rejected offers, he's going to stay at Real Madrid this summer. And obviously, of all the players, he actually ended up going to Madrid. But
it must be so frustrating though.
And that's the thing, it's like, but that's it. Because what I said to him was, look, for what it's worth, this is what the agent said. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
And then it just, the internal politics of websites and newspapers, things end up being written for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But mainly now, a good source of stories is my own DMs. People will message me and say, I've heard this.
It happens, doesn't it?
But then you can't just do that, obviously. And you've got to go and check it out.
It must annoy you when people go like, oh, so where's the quote or what's the source? That's the most common criticism. As if people would just like give up their whole contact list just for the sake of justifying it to, I don't know, some random kid on Twitter somewhere.
Well, the whole there's no quotes thing. To be honest, I've not had that. But I do see, I thought it had died down because it was a big thing about 10 years ago when Twitter was just getting going. No, there's no quotes. But it still comes around sometimes with other people.
It's like the idea that like anyone at work would just tell anyone said it all the times. Like you said a rumour. Oh yeah, I'm going to out that person in the office.
Yeah,
it doesn't work that way. Life doesn't work that way.
But it's one of those things where it's like what I said before about if you were a bad journalist and you could hide behind the fact that deals don't happen, and you could say, oh well, it was happening, but in the end it fell through. It's the same thing with no quotes. Now I've never done a transfer story with quotes in because it's mad. You couldn't. But you just have to work out as a fan. You kind of. The burden of like proof shouldn't be on the fan, but it's up to them to decide who they trust, basically.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to build that trust through reliable stories.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, so if people message me and say I've heard this, but like deadline day in January, I mean it's funny now because he did go to United, but somebody messaged me and said, "Oh, have you heard Fred is going to United like today?" So you waste half an hour, ringing everyone you know, messaging everyone you know, going, and there's so much work you do that never gets seen on the front end. It never goes on the website because you're just chasing tip-offs.
Yeah,
but yeah, like you say, you can get used, or people can just
It's been in the news.
I don't think I've really had it where people have been taking the piss, but you get the feeling, you think this sounds legit. But they could be taking the piss, and they could be going.
Could be leveraged.
If I just wrote a story saying all the details, then whoever the person DMing me is could just do a screenshot of the DM and go, "This is all the details I told."
You could actually screw over.
So exactly. So I mean, you need to check everything out.
You could say they made it up, but it could happen, couldn't it, quite easily? And I wouldn't put it past some people on Twitter as well, because
I mean, fortunately, to be honest, I'm probably going to get this now. But to be honest, the people who are doing
everyone said story. No, don't be nice to Sam on Twitter.
But but I mean, in some ways, like whenever I've written stuff about Mendy, the two things. The first one was just about how he was affecting the team in a good sense, but also there was a bit of disciplinary stuff. And people were messaging me going, "Oh, do you know about this?" I was like, and then the other stuff with the proper disciplinary stuff, like the other Sunday before the Hoffenheim game, more people were messaging me going, "Did you hear about this?" So I mean, you have to check everything out.
I heard a rumour, I won't name names, but that they tried to find him a lot of money, like Mendy recently. Like I'm talking like $1 million or something like that, allegedly.
I hadn't heard that.
I heard a rumour. It could be bullshit. It could be someone, it could be bullshit. But
again, that
essentially,
tallies.
I think that tallies with the in general the feeling of pissed off.
They don't know what to do with him. It's like, what is he going to respond to? Yeah.
Because I mean, where is that? Because how worried should City fans be about that? Because I mean, the stuff about him moving house and his trouble with speeding and I know apparently wasn't happy at all about the boxing thing. He pretended to be like. Is it a genuine concern, or is it a case of like I've got a fear in general that he's had just too much too young in terms of like he's won the World Cup and the Premier League and other trophies, doing nothing for the past year, essentially.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's been too easy for him. Yeah. And is it a case that he needs to kind of refocus a little bit now or something like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like it's the focus thing, but it's like
is it
they're concerned about his mates. Like, and it's not just being on Instagram and being a laugh. And when Guardiola said about the social media stuff at the start of the season, that was like the tip of the iceberg. It's not just messing around and not being focused on football. It's like potentially serious shit.
Yeah, well even the speeding thing. It's the serious stuff.
Exactly. Like 24 points, and in the end they said, "Oh, it wasn't him. He just didn't respond to the letters." And I think it was the story that he wasn't driving at all.
Yeah, apparently,
but that's not true. He does drive. He has driven, and he's had crashes where he's not been insured and stuff like that.
Footballers.
And yeah, exactly. But it does. But the thing is it worrying? On the surface, he played against Liverpool. But I wonder if he wouldn't have, if it had been a home game against, beatable opposition, would he have put him back in? But because it was Liverpool and kind of need him. But then again, he played him. Some serious shit went down off the pitch, and he still played him in the Huddersfield game. But it's like you say, what you've heard, it tallies with the fact that they were at their wits' end with him, and they're like, what do we do with him now? We've moved him out of the centre, we've tried this, we find him, we've done this. We banned him from, when the other week when they banned him for the week after the boxing thing, it was just don't be around. You got to do your rehab, but don't be around when the other first team players are around. So we saw in the documentary, they're all getting massages and stuff. They're all in there together. Yeah. But he had to be there by himself because it was just like, what is he going to respond to? But it's a weird one because there's all that going on, but at the same time, he's still playing. So I wonder what is going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. And Pep finally says, well, because not only can we not play this guy anymore, but he doesn't have to go. I'm not saying that's the situation now, but we're kind of in that ballpark where they've tried everything else. At what point is it going to be like, this guy's just unsustainable? Even if he's endowed ability. It's great.
He's a fantastic player. And to be honest, he
gives him so much. It's not just what he gives as a left back, it's the whole team.
Yeah, in terms of the character as well. And everyone's happy around him. But then defensively he was better than I thought he was going to be at Liverpool as well, given the fact he hadn't played for Liverpool. He's probably off his own accord. But, in general, he's obviously a quality player. But I think Pep's stubborn enough, and we know he is, given the players he's dumped in his past, previous jobs who did for Zlatan.
Well, Sane's been left out.
Exactly.
And Sane is nothing like the whole Zlatan thing was a thing. Right. But this Mendy situation is serious business. But Sane is like fucking 5% of that.
He's a bit moody teenager.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, come on, kid, you've got the water at your feet here. Just switch on a bit, kind of thing.
Try a bit harder in training.
Yeah, he might be a bit aloof off the pitch or whatever, and he might not be likeable for whoever's around and whoever's needed. But it's not like the Mendy situation. And it's already got to the stage where Guardiola's thought, I'll leave him out. So you can only imagine what. You wonder if they'll start
to even threaten him with leaving the club at some point because he's such an authoritarian in the right way. I guess he is. And he gets results.
Exactly.
But he says it all about the power of City have got these days that they would be willing to just drop Mendy potentially if it's not working. I mean, in terms of even get rid of him, I don't think they'll get rid of him. I think it'll come to
it won't be anytime soon.
But I mean, it could happen and. It is serious, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it is.
Well, and that's the thing. Like when Oggy did that story, that Mendy's future uncertain, people were like livid with that. Because it sounds like such a big leap. And obviously people thought he was just going by what Guardiola said in the press conference. Obviously it wasn't. It was all this stuff
There's more to it than
we just talked about and some other stuff that can't be talked about. But yeah, I mean, future uncertain in a sense that they don't really know what to do with him. So I mean, I can't see it being like January he's got to go. And like we say, it's a weird one because he's still playing, but it's definitely one where there's definitely stuff going on and there's definitely concerns about him, and they need to get him on the straight and narrow because, like I say, he's not just potentially the best left back in the world, or in terms of what going forward.
He's just fun as well.
But it's just. Every interesting tactical thing that City have done this season is because Mendy's been playing, and because Mendy's either been rampaging down the left or coming inside or doing a bit of both. Everything interesting they've tried is because they got Mendy, so they needed to work because of that.
And that's the difficult thing with Pep as well, because he is that good to manage in terms of, as a player. Like, you must be like so torn in terms of like you've got this little bratty little child, and I think probably fundamentally he's a decent person in terms of like, I don't really mean harm, but then again, how much can you go around speeding without insurance and all that kind of stuff? And I mean, that's just bad stuff. And if any of my friends did that, I'd be pissed off with them, so that's the kind of thing. So it happens. But anyway, one person like who a lot of people asked as well on Twitter when they replied earlier was about Sterling. The whole contract thing. Is that still like some kind of impasse there? Because we saw some like general reports there. I can't remember where I saw it, but about the Real Madrid rumour, being lined up again. What's the latest you've heard on that in general? Where's Raheem at? I mean, no one doubts his performances on the pitch at the moment.
Yeah, but
he's playing like a leader.
It's not like he's refusing to sign a contract. Yeah. It's not like he's unhappy or whatever. And to be fair, not the most recent stories. I don't doubt the Madrid interest at all. Like, it would make sense, if there's a quality player like Sterling potentially on the market, they'll be keeping an eye out. But if Madrid are looking for Hazard, or if, to be honest, Hazard's in a good moment of form at the moment. But if they're expecting him to come in and do what Ronaldo did, it's not going to happen.
No, didn't play.
And obviously you've got the whole Mbappe Neymar situation. Will they? Won't they? But Sterling isn't. As much as Sterling's a great player, and this could come back to haunt me by the end of the season, I don't think he's going to be the superstar that Real Madrid need.
The Galactico.
And to replace Ronaldo as well, of all people. I mean, look at him at the moment. Obviously, they had a bad start to the season now, but Lopetegui might be getting sacked at the moment. If not now, then soon, if he doesn't turn it around.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Sterling is the man that they're going to need, so I don't doubt that they're keeping an eye on it.
They need a star, don't they? Yeah, I mean, not saying that they need it, but that's what they want at very least. Like, they always want like a big name, and I'm not convinced either Sterling fits that bill for them. Not that he's not good enough, because I think he'd do very well, but I don't think the Bernabeu either would be very welcoming towards his finishing in general. I don't think he's the world's worst finisher, but you can't miss a sitter at the Bernabeu, can you?
And also, I mean, if we put it in the starkest terms, he's not Cristiano Ronaldo in front of goal.
Well, simple as that. How many are?
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, I think if Hazard won there, it'd be for a rough ride. Hazard would be, and Hazard's more of, not in a bad way, but we know more of an individual player, more of a Galactico, basically.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And like I said on Twitter yesterday, Sterling he's a good fit. He's a good fit, isn't he, at City at the moment?
Yeah.
And it's not, the England comparison isn't perfect because, England aren't great tactically. But if Madrid just want like an individual or someone who can just come up with something out of nowhere, fine, we have seen Sterling do that. But in terms of the one-on-ones kind of thing,
it's Hazard,
if you miss them, you get the crowd on your back. In terms of the contract, it's not like he's refusing to stay.
He just has to earn, I guess.
The last round of stories that probably came from a good place was it they want loads of money for him, but not De Bruyne levels, which is probably fine. They're not saying, like, even his agent, who was obviously going to push for every penny, he's not saying this guy's as good as De Bruyne, but he's saying, well, De Bruyne gets, for argument's sake, 275 or whatever, 220 plus or whatever. He's not quite that, but 180, 200, he's a value to Manchester City. You've got the money, let's do it.
And that logic, you can't really argue with it either. I guess the City, I mean, how long is 18 months off now? Is it as little as that? Which is not long, is it? I mean, the card's very much in his hands at the moment, isn't it, really? And I guess the way City will see it is that they'll say to him, look, you have to do it over another season kind of thing. Is that the idea they're saying to him?
No, I think they want to get it done by like January because then it's like...
No, I mean in terms of like, they have to prove he's worth that money over the course of not just one season like last year, but another season.
Yeah, I suppose so. But like you say, he kind of holds all the cards. So they could say, we're not going to pay you 200, but we'll give you 180 plus bonuses that will get you to, like, I don't know, whatever we want. Yeah. It'll get him near there because I think City will make the concession because they're not going to want him to leave.
And I would argue as well that he started the season pretty much in exactly the same season form as last year. So, like, there's no reason to suggest he wouldn't carry on at the same pace.
He's so important for the team.
Yeah,
and
I think he's
a good fit. He's happy where he is. And
One person a few people asked, just a quick one actually. What's going on with Philip Sandler? Did anyone know anything about that?
He's got a knee injury, hasn't he?
Yeah, is he back training now?
I was thinking about this in the car earlier.
I don't know. If you don't
because
know
you just see him around, and no, I think there was a picture of the injured players out on the touchline at Anfield, and he was still among them. I don't know if he's training and not fit enough or whatever. But I think basically they will just loan him out like they do with everyone.
This whole idea about him staying, it's not going to happen, is it? Let's be honest. Because he did say he wanted to come. He wanted to I remember when he was signed him that the rumours that were he said I know my plan is not to be loaned out. I'm going to stay with the first team. But sure, that's just naivety. Sure, that's not going to happen. Because I remember him saying that, but. It's just too much of an ask, isn't it, to get into the squad these days? I can't imagine that will be the plan anyway. I'm sure he must have known. They wouldn't have signed him and say you're going to be in the first team. And go, by the way, obviously not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So no, I don't know. He's obviously still injured, not fit enough. But yeah, he came with a knee injury for people who didn't even know that.
Yeah,
he had an operation and they signed him
mid
recovery, and it was quite a long one. And I mean. It feels like we're a long way into the season now, but when did they sign him? 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Still recovering.
And he was in the Brahim Diaz front. I mean...
That looks like he might go.
I think he probably will go as well. And to be honest, as you probably know if you watch this channel, I'm a bit of an advocate of youth integration where deserved, when earned. And it must be so frustrating for Brahim now. And he's a lovely lad by all accounts, and his family are quite settled over here and all that kind of stuff. But he's obviously watching Mr. Sancho tear things up over in Dortmund, probably thinking, pretty much, I can do that. I can do that as well. And he probably could. I don't know. You can debate amongst yourselves if he's as good as that, but he's definitely not far off. And it's just hard for him to get on the bench these days, isn't it? So, do you think he'll end up going? I think he might, personally.
The way it stands at the moment, yeah. The weird thing is, his main agent, is Guardiola's brother.
Yep. But Perry, is it, or whatever it's called?
Yeah, Per. I can't do that. I can't do the pronunciation, despite the fact I somewhat speak it. But there's some kind of feeling that even you'd think that would maybe beneficial from the City point of view, but I'm not sure, for whatever reason, I'm not sure it's going to be. And in the summer he thought, well, I'm not going out on loan. I'm either good enough to play, or you can sell me. And obviously his mind's not going to have been changed too much. I think I didn't realise it at the time, but when he went off, people were asking me after the Oxford game, they were like, was there a bit of something between him and Guardiola? I've still not seen it back on TV. But I think it has been. I think the situation has been a little bit tense between them recently.
Do you reckon?
Which is why, when it goes back to the Oggy thing, when he was asking the questions about Mendy, and people were like, we obviously had an idea in his head before he went in. I was like, what's wrong with that? I asked about Brahim, because I knew that the situation was a bit tense. So I was like, I'll get Guardiola's viewpoint on this. But I wasn't going to push him on it and say, you're talking shit, Pep.
I guess with the Ogden thing, is City fans. I think it was just the way they heard him speak. I think that's irrelevant. I actually agree.
It's a sense of humour as well. We laughed when he said, not on a Sunday though.
Yeah.
We laugh because we know what he's like.
City fans, football fans are defensive.
But that's like a Manchester sense of humour. That's not even like people should appreciate that. But
it's just he hasn't got a good reputation among City fans. Deserved or not, I don't know. But I actually agree. He's got every right to ask that. I personally agree. Your job as a journalist is to find out these things, isn't it? And
what he was asking was true.
It was true.
He was giving them the opportunity. Because he'd asked City that week what was going on. It was kind of hard to get a nailed down answer. So he was on. He doesn't normally go to press conferences because he's a chief correspondent. He's got loads of other stuff to do. But he was I'm going to ask Pep.
Why not?
And what more can you say than that as a journalist? Just go and ask the manager, then fair play.
I think on that's probably a pretty decent note to end it on then, really. And Sam, if you don't mind, it's getting near to half an hour. My camera goes off at half an hour, so I thought, I'll just end it there. So Sam, thank you very much for coming on the first ever Esteemed Kompany podcast. I need a better title than that because that's terrible. Don't forget to subscribe to Sam's channel. There'll be a link in the description below, and it'll be hovering about near our faces now. And I enjoyed that a lot, so thank you very much, mate. Cheers. Let us know what you reckon, if you want to see more, and maybe some suggestions as well, what you want to see us talk about in the future, and we'll see you soon.